Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Extracellular Vesicles Characterization and Isolation through Nanoscale Flow Cytometry. I'm Jason Lowry, Product Manager of Biomarker Discovery and Single-Cell Omics Workflows at Beckman Coulter Life Sciences, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Today's educational web seminar is presented by LabRoots and brought to you by Beckman Coulter Life Sciences. To learn more, please visit us at beckman.com or beckman.com. We encourage you to participate today by submitting any questions you may have during the presentation. To do so, simply type them into the Ask a Question box and click Send. We'll answer as many questions as we have time for at the end of the presentation. You may also submit any technical issues here as well, if you have trouble seeing or hearing the presentation. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Professor Claudia Maria Radu. She holds a PhD in Medical, Clinical, and Experimental Cardiovascular Sciences. She is the Associate Professor of Technical Sciences and Laboratory Medicine in the Department of Medicine and Thrombotic Hemorrhagic Disease Unit at the University of Padua. Professor Radu has extensive experience in flow cytometry with the Cytoflex, Cytoflex SRT, and the Cytoflex Nano platforms, and her research explores a wide range of applications, from characterizing diverse cellular phenotypes to advancing our understanding of platelet activation and reactivity, as well as detecting extracellular vesicles. She specializes in extracellular vesicle characterization with a focus on developing and standardizing analytical methods. As an expert in nanoscale flow cytometry, she has been instrumental in creating standardized protocols for EV detection and characterization. Professor Radu, you may now begin your presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Claudia. Thank you very much for the presentation. I would like sincerely to thank Beckman Coulter for the kind invitation to present the upcoming webinar. It's a great opportunity to share our work on extracellular vesicles characterization and isolation through nanoscale flow cytometry. And I look forward to again with the audience. I primarily work with blood cells and involvement in hemorrhagic and thrombotic disorders. And in recent years, I have also focused my attention on the characterization and detection of extracellular vesicles. First of all, I want to share a brief disclaimer. This is a sponsored presentation and it is only for education purpose. Today, I like to share with you my personal experience, including some of the challenges I've faced and the solution I've explored in the field of extracellular vesicles detection and characterization. When I was first asked to work with extracellular vesicles, I remember thinking, this is impossible. Cytometers are designed to analyze cells, not to detect what in the past, say, considered to be just a cellular debris. And then I began to explore this topic more deeply, and I realized that these tiny vesicles actually carry incredibly important biological information. And that flow cytometry with the right approach, could be a powerful tool to study them. I begin to try to understand this new world of extracellular vesicles and their role in the different pathological disease. And the history of extracellular vesicles started in the 1914 with Cartfield and West conducted a series of experiments and hidden the presence of thin vesicles, the background products in the blood. But the particular is that this membranous debris, have some clotting function. Later, these particles were confirmed that was vesicular nature using electron microscopy, and revealing that contain lipids, macrobolites, different proteins, and that derive from cells. The first of all, Dr. Tannams, in 1981, worked in the Laboratory of Neuroscience in the United States, coined the term exosome to describe something vesicles send from the cellular surface. This information, historical information, really helped me to appreciate these new fields, this new work of extracellular vesicles, and to understand the potential of this vesicle have in regulate some mechanism of pathological disease. I start to see this work with extracellular vesicles not as cell debris, but a complex functional structure that can carry important biological signals. However, studying extracellular vesicles using flow cytometers, all we know that we have several technical challenges, particularly their detection and characterization. And you can see in this timeline the field of this extracellular vesicles have evolved rapidly over the past few decades. But due to the complexity of isolating and characterizing quantifying these extracellular vesicles, you need some particular tools as the scientists to understand, to isolate, and to characterize these CVs. But the problem is to standardize these systems. And the International Society of Extracellular Vesicles was founded in 2011 with this focus and to promoting and to give some rigorous standardization protocols in the disease of EVs. And in 1914, ISCV published the first minimal information for studying extracellular vesicles guidelines, developed in collaboration with various international task forces from different fields of research. It gave some protocol steps to improve this reproducibility test for analyzed EVs. These guidelines were updated in 2018 and most recently in 2023, reflecting, if you see, this complexity to study these extracellular vesicles. Today we have different task forces with this society that working in the standardization and in different protocols in different fields like urine, blood, plants, to analyze the extracellular vesicles and to find a correct protocol to isolate and to characterize. But we need a uniform terminology because it's essential not only for a correct scientific communication between the different groups that work with extracellular vesicles, but to find a standardized system to analyze the extracellular vesicles and to have the same terminology. With the new guidelines, suggest that the term extracellular vesicles is a generic term used for all the secreted vesicles characterized by a phospholipid bilayer membrane and cannot replicate. And the extracellular vesicles are nano-micro-sized particles that appear to be released by all the cell types in response to different stimuli, like cellular activation, cell injury, or apoptosis. And this is a slide that you can see the complexity of these extracellular vesicles. And you can compare with all the different cells of our body, from endothelial cells, platelets, bacteria, or virus. You have different types of extracellular vesicles with different size. This is the complexity of these fields. One of the main problems is how to classify AVs by their size. And the last guideline of 2023 suggests to use the term small AVs based on the size of less 200 nanometers, and large AVs for the AVs greater than 200 nanometers in diameters. This is the recommendation from the last guideline for the use of these two terms, small AVs and large AVs. And if you want to use other terms like exosome or ectosome, you have to make more attention, because if you not have a clear idea or to demonstrate really that derived from the internal system of your cells using specific markers or specific isolation systems, and to describe that coming from the internal intraluminal vesicles for the endosome system, you can use the terms exosome or ectosome. On the other hand, remember that some size overlap between these two groups of extracellular vesicles, and some markers are common. This slide in the last guideline explain this heterogeneity and complex world of these extracellular vesicles. If you see, we have large AVs, like the apoptotic body in the microvesicles with different size. We have small AVs that you can see two groups, exo-large AVs or exo-small AVs. And other two groups, that is non-membrane nanoparticles, the exome and super, that now recently see that have some important give some important information in the extracellular vesicles environment. Now we have another problem: how to isolate and separate my extracellular AVs. We have different systems. You can see here, you can use the precipitation, the differential ultracentrifugation. But what is the problem of this? Is the recovery versus the specificity. I can use one of these methods, but I have to understand what is my focus to study extracellular vesicles and my biological system, blood, milk. Because in one case you can have a good precipitation, but a low specificity. On the other hand, you can have a good purification with high specificity, but a small quantity, a specificity of extracellular vesicles. Depends of your system that you have to work and what you want to see and to find. Now we know that the conventional flow cytometry is one of the common used technique. However, we have many limitations because the problem is the size of AVs and the inability of the most flow cytometer to detect the particles less than 500 nanometers. You can use other systems for the count, like nanotracking, flow cytometry, spectrometry mass. You can use electron microscopy, you can use force atomic microscopy. But all these give some specific information about the count, about only the size, only the structure. But the flow cytometry is one of the common used because you can see that you can characterize, you can analyze the thousands of EVs for at the second, and you can characterize the components of your EVs. But what is one of the problems is in an optical techniques that is used to size a count EVs. What means this? Means that if I want to quantitative size information, is not perfect because to obtain you have to comparing the scattering intensities of your EVs with that of bit of no size, like the through count or the flow count bits. The measurements of the size is imperfect because you have both the dynamic light scattering, the flow cytometry uses light scattering intensity to estimate EV size, with the assumption that this refracting index is the same or similar to your material that you calibrate your cytometers. In the calibrator material, normally we use the polystyrene calibration bits with refracting index to 1.61 or silicon nanospheres with a refracting index to 1.46. And this is the bits that calibrate our optical system of flow cytometry and set our EVs gate, but they do not have the refracting index of the native EVs that derive from cells. That is near the 1.30, 1.45. Okay, now say I have clear my idea. I understand. How to start? I don't have a system for isolation. I don't have any information about the quantification. It's not perfect, analyze the size of my EVs. Now I start with a clear idea. But the first suggestion was in the standardization of extracellular vesicles was to use the flow cytometry with known your detection limits and to use the light scattering of EVs near your native EVs derived from the cells. And for this, you have to use the EVs derived from platelets. You have to analyze your EVs derived from platelets and know the size of platelets and the marker of your platelets, that is CD61, for example, you can identify your platelets derived EVs. This is an example to best practice in EVs for flow cytometry. But what is the problem? Okay, I can analyze my extracellular vesicles using CD61 to identify my EVs, and then near this, because have a light intensity, low light intensity, scattering intensity, I can find my EVs. But it's not a good solution. What I have to do? Okay, I have to resolve my problems. I have to find a way to resolve my problem. One of these is to find the good cytometers, the correct tool. And my correct tool is the Cytoflex cytometers platform. Why? You can see now. I start with the Cytoflex cytometry. All these Cytoflex cytometers you can see before have a solid state laser, have the advanced photodiodes technology fibers that is more sensitivity, have a nice sensitivity as compared to the traditional photomultiplicator. You can see that you can detect 33 color fluorescent channels. But important that have the violet size scatter laser that we used as trigger signal to discriminate the noisy instinct of the normally used blue laser. Not only, if you see, you have the bandpass inside, that is a system to help to cut in specific mode the fluorescence, the emission and the excitation, and to not have the problem of compensation. This is most important. I start using the polystyrene beads. First, we have a type of polystyrene beads with very big sides. Then we have two new types of polystyrene beads, the Megamix Plus that was for cytometer for forest scatter channel with sensitivity in the forest scatter channel, and the other in the side scatter channel. I say, okay, I use these polystyrene beads. Remember that it is not the same for the calibration of my cytometer. It's not the same to use my native AVs. Is have another refracting index. But we start with these polystyrene beads. And if you see the difference, the first difference that you can observe in this slide is if you compare the two systems, the violet size scatter with the normal size scatter of the cytometers, you can see a best resolution between the different beads of the different size of these beads, polystyrene beads, and not only between the beads, but the great distance between the smallest than from the noise. And on the other hand, if you see the normal size scatter, you see that it's difficult to distinguish the smallest AVs, the smallest beads with specific low size. With this system, with the polystyrene beads, I can design a gate for my detection of AVs. Is not precise gate, but we can help to have an idea where my AVs can detect from a minimal of size to a maximum of size. And we use the violet size scatter. The Cytoflex will not have the need of specific bit of no size. If you remember, before we say that we need for the absolute count the bits with no size, like the count or the flow count. In the case of cytometers, these instruments will not need these bits of no size for the absolute count, but normally measure the volume, and the softer it's you can have the extracellular vesicle per microliters, mean the absolute count of your AVs without any other needs. I try to see this difference, if you have any difference to using or to not using this type of bits, like the flow count, and I have the same count, absolute count, without the use of these bits. Then I start with Cytoflex SLST, the cell sorter. Why? Because, okay, I can have an idea of my gate with the Cytoflex of my extracellular vesicles. I can characterize my extracellular vesicles with specific markers. But can I isolate my extracellular vesicles to understand what I have inside? What is the cargo of these extracellular vesicles? And I start with Cytoflex SRT, that we have 4 ways to sorting, have the same system of advanced photodiodes, have a nozzle of 100 micrometers, and you have the ability to select your cells. And what about the extracellular vesicles? I say, try with these polystyrene beads. I start again with these polystyrene beads, the Gigamix, and is the mix of the two Megamix you see before. And I tried to see if it was capable, this instrument, to isolate some specific population of polystyrene beads. It's really, the polystyrene beads have a specific size, is circulate. It's not like the extracellular vesicles with different size, with phospholipids, but I say, try to see if it was possible to isolate, to sorting only one population of polystyrene beads. And I try with one population. Look, you can see in the different plot the isolation of specific polystyrene bead population. Okay, that was capable, these instruments, to isolate, to sorting my specific beads population. And if I try to ask to the instruments to sorting only one single bead, was possible? I say, I try. And what I found, yes, it's really, I say that it's beads, is polystyrene beads, but I want to see if it was capable for a single beads, not only for the single cell to sorting. And the instrument sorting one single bead that I ask to sort. But is really? Yes, I go to the microscope and I see the drop with only single beads, with a specific site that I ask to sorting. Very interesting. Why it's important? Because when we start with extracellular vesicles, with the Cytoflex, we work with the COVID patient, and we observed in the plasma a significant association between the extracellular vesicle levels and the clinical outcomes of this patient. We try to understand the problem of the coagulation disease in this patient. If you remember, you have the problem with the thrombosis. And you analyze the different extracellular vesicles. You see the extracellular vesicles with S-selectin endothelial from activation, P-selectin from platelet activation, and from tissue factor, that is the trigger of coagulation. We found these extracellular vesicles circulate in this patient, and we compared with this clinical outcome of our patient, and we see an association. We go to understand if really was extracellular vesicles, and we confirm by the microscope that really we have the positivity for calcium, a marker of intracellular extracellular vesicles, because is extracellular vesicles, if you use the calcium of CSM and other markers, you can see if you have really extracellular vesicles, because you need to have exterases inside the enzyme to cut this component, and then you found the fluorescence. And you see that these extracellular vesicles have the receptors of angiotensin converting enzyme of the virus. But the next step was to understand is really was extracellular vesicles, not only when we see in a normal microscope. And we go to the electronic microscope and confirm the presence of this. You can see in the first panel endothelial cells activated from a cell line, the release of these extracellular vesicles, and you can see a normal microscopy. On the other hand, the extracellular vesicles from the patient, in the plasma of the patient, you see the extracellular vesicles in electronic microscopy. Why the Cytoflex SRT was important for us? We know that the problem with the COVID infection is a very high disease in the progression of the infection. It was a problem, the infection with COVID virus. And we want to understand who is these extracellular vesicles from this COVID patient have maybe the SARS-CoV spike in their surface. We try to isolate these extracellular vesicles with Cytoflex SRT, positive for SARS-CoV spike 1 and positive for casein. And then we use in the culture system of endothelial cells. And we observe that these cells was very important, these extracellular vesicles, because activate the endothelial cells. And after the activation, we have the expression of tissue factor, the trigger of coagulation system. That is the problem of these procoagulant extracellular vesicles. But not only, if you think about the propagation of this infection with the help of these extracellular vesicles, then we use these extracellular vesicles as a cargo for different microRNA. They used these types of nanoparticles, synthetic nanoparticles, which is inside a specific mRNA with fluorescence. And the idea was to use this type of nanoparticles for therapeutic tools, as therapeutic tools. And we used in system in the mice, and we observed that you can see in the cardomyocytes of these mice, we found these extracellular, synthetic extracellular vesicles with our mRNA inside. And these artificial extracellular vesicles go to the organ, to the solid organ, with the circulation of the blood, go inside the different organs. This is after 30 minutes in the heart, and it was positive for the expression of our microRNA that have inside these synthetic nanoparticles. This because it's important the use of extracellular vesicles maybe in the future for as cargo for different pharmacological therapy. In another case, we want to see inside what have these extracellular vesicles in a particular coagulation disease of patients with diabetes and have carotid fibrous plaque and patient without carotid classified plaque. And we see that we have, after isolation with Cytoflex SRT, we observed different microRNA inside these extracellular vesicles. After the isolation, we isolate the different population for endothelial activation, for platelets activation, or without any markers, and we go to analyze in the next generation sequencing to understand what is the cargo of this extracellular vesicles. This is very important because if you know what have inside, you can understand the outcome of our patient. Finally, Cytoflex Nano. Cytoflex Nano is the last cytometers that we have in our labs. Is the first nanoscale flow cytometers detect particles at least less than 40 nanometers. We discuss about polystyrene beads and have 5-size scatter channel. In the same case, we have the volumetric delivery count, and you have 5-size scatter, but 2 scatter detection dynamic regs, the violet size scatter 1 and the violet size scatter 2. The only needs this instrument is to use the borosilicate glass tubes. We found that is one of the best tubes to use in these cytometers because it's very sensitive instruments. These two scatter detection dynamic scatter, the violet size scatter 1 and the violet size scatter 2, discriminate two types of polystyrene beads: small, 40, 150 nanometers, and violet size scatter 2 for large range of polystyrene nanoparticles, 18 nanometers, 1 micrometers. What is important, this Cytoflex Nano? It is important because you can see the smallest extracellular vesicles. You can determine the smallest extracellular vesicles. We start again. I start with the Gigamix. I try to see the difference because with the violet size scatter 1 and the violet size scatter 2, you can see the distance between the different population of polystyrene beads, 100, 160, is very far one for each other in the violet size scatter 1 because it's more sensitive scatter. And on the other, we have the biggest polystyrene beads we can distinguish with the violet size scatter 2. And obvious, the distance from the ground have a very low background. What is the standardization? That's about polystyrene beads. The problem is that my extracellular vesicles coming released for the cells. What means this? Means that I need something else to calibrate my cytometers. And in this case, I use purified exosome extract for a cell line, the EC293T, from the Sigma Aldrich. This fluorescent extracellular vesicles was fluorescent for the green fluorescent protein and is really EVs near my native EVs with a refracting index very near my native EVs, 300 nanometers. I try to see the difference in the Cytoflex between the Gigamix with polystyrene beads and the cells, this purified recombinant extracellular vesicle. And I use the same gate for polystyrene beads. And I see that is inside my gates, but not really gate because it's polystyrene beads, but the cells of this line, recombinant extracellular vesicle positive for the GFP, was inside my gate. Okay, it's not bad to use these beads. Then I go to see in the different population, the different sites from 100 to 160, 200, 300. Where is this population of recombinant extracellular vesicles? And I found 500, 900 was out of my gate, then 200, 300. It's really very small extracellular vesicles, and then more of this was inside 100 to or less 100 nanometers. The same I do with the Nanoflex, and I found really an important information because not only I can design my gate with these recombinant extracellular vesicles that derive from cells, it's like our native cells, native AVs, and I can, in the different violet size scatter 1 and violet size scatter 2, I can design a reproducibly gate for my AVs, to detect my AVs. Okay, now we have some information. But The problem with refractive index we can resolve using these recombinant extracellular vesicles that is formed from cells, released from cells. Cytoflex Nano give the possibility using the Cellarcus Bioscience system kit for set up the instruments. What is this type of kit? This is an assay that can give me the possibility to calibrate my instruments. Have inside the nano rainbow beads that can calibrate my Nanoflex. Is 8 different intensity fluorescent peaks with different beads. Then have inside the Lipo 100 synthetic vesicles. Some of this is red fluorescence, and I can design my gate in the positive gate, where is this positive for these synthetic vesicles. I have some size standards inside with different size. Is polystyrene, but is the standard, call it nanocol, size standard preparation. And then I have for my antibodies some antibody capture beads that give me the possibility to optimize the concentration of my antibodies. And I can design a reproducibly gate for my EVs using the Lipo 100 and the Lipo conjugated with the red fluorescent. But my extracellular vesicles have, we said before, a double phospholipase bilayer. How to see if really my extracellular vesicles are from cells? I use the Aquarella or Jot dye in the Italian system from Prodotti Gianni, that is an oligoelectrolyte that goes inside the lipid bilayer. Only if my extracellular vesicles have a lipid bilayer, I can show my extracellular vesicles. This is another system to help to understand what is who is my extracellular vesicles. If you combine the two systems, the ACO dyes and the recombinant extracellular vesicle positive from GFP or from the sigma derived from the cells, I can have a really reproducibly design of my gate for my extracellular vesicles. This in the Nanoflex, I try to use this type of settings in a patient with thrombocytosis and using the calcium. I see that is correct my gate that I designed before with these systems. Not only, then I use to understand if I have any CD41 derived from platelets, extracellular vesicles, and I found the positivity in these extracellular vesicles with this system before calibrating with Aquarella, with Cellarcus, or with the recombinant extracellular vesicles. And now I use this system for my gate for the detection of my extracellular vesicles. I found that my positivity of this extracellular vesicle in the CD41 staining. Not only, but the same Nanoflex can have the extracellular vesicles per microliter, the absolute count. And then if you combine the difference in the ACO dyes with my calcium that give me the possibility to understand that is really my extracellular vesicles, remember to use something that degrades your extracellular vesicles as negative control, that is saponin or triton, to solubilize your extracellular vesicles as control. But then if you use ACO dyes that go inside, this oligoelectrolytes go inside the double stain of your membrane, you can find your positivity extracellular vesicles. Cytoflex have the possibility to use the calibrating light scatter to the emitter using the FCM pass. Is a particular software that covers arbitrary unit light scatter data into units nanometers. This using the NanoVis, that's high quality beads with non-refractive index. And you can see by the violet size scatter, 1, 2, or your analyzed scatter, you can convert in really nanometer size of your EVs. And we use the low-high NanoVis size standards, and is a mix of polystyrene beads with non-refractive index. And using this, you can, with a non-refracting index, you can convert with FCM pass in the really nanometer size. And we try with one of these to understand if was 18 nanometer beads, and we found that was the medium polystyrene beads that we use in the NanoVis was 81. Perfect, I say. And this type of, we try with the purified extracellular vesicles with derived from the egg cell line, we observed that the distribution really was 45-60 nanometric with a violet size scatter 1, using LEDCM pass. This gives some information. I can now understand how work my extracellular vesicles and to use as in the future as biomarkers for the treatment for the patients, to understand the intercellular communication between the different disease. Because with all these systems, with the system can found the correct isolation of my extracellular vesicles, analyze my extracellular vesicles, isolate and go after to understand what have inside or what have in the surface my extracellular vesicles, I can understand more, have more information. How? Using a good calibrating system like the Cellarcus, the Aquarella, the Exosome standard fluorescent, the small particles fluorescence, important, the FCM pass software for using the correct instruments. If you use this type of with this calibration, you can have the really nanometers of your extracellular vesicles. You can understand what is the composition and the characterization of and the size of your extracellular vesicles. And in this field, I think so that we have found the correct way to understand the complex world of extracellular vesicles. And with this, I thank all your audience for your attention. And if you have any question, I'm here for help you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Radu, for sharing such an insightful and engaging presentation. We're delighted to have had the opportunity to learn from your experience. We will now begin the live question and answer portion of the webinar. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please do so now. Just click on the Ask a Question box located on the far left of your screen. We'll answer as many questions as we have time for. Let's get started. Our first question is it possible to calculate the size of EVs using alternative bead types?
You can use absolutely other types of beads. Important is to know what is the refractive index of your beads, because depends of the lot of your beads, of the composition of your beads. But if you know the refractive index, you can use another type of beads. NanoVis is standardized from the company, and you have any time the correct refractive index for any lot, and it's very important because this affects the accuracy of the size measurement of these.
Thank you. Second question, do all standard exosomes express GFP, and are their sizes homogeneous?
Not all the recombinant extracellular vesicles from Sigma express GFP. a small portion of these extracellular vesicles, because derived from really cells. And but it's enough to can design a correct gate for the positive and the negative EVIS detection. Depends from the lot that you use. You can found in the lot with all the information regarding the expression of GFP, but have a good part of positive GFP, about 50%, 70%. Depends of the lot, but you can use for the designing of the gate of your EVIS, positive and negative. Then it's not for the other aspect is not homogeneous. It's very heterogeneous because derived from cells, from a cell line. But have for this have a different size. You found different size from 30 to 300 nanometers, with a peak of size distribution between 100 to 150 nanometers. Because you use the nano tracking for this analysis is a heterogeneous size. But it's very useful to understand and to have a positive control to using for the measurement of the size of your EVIS using the FCM-PASS software, for example.
Thank you. Looks like we have time for one more question. Last question. What is the maximum resolution for distinguishing particles of similar sizes?
Okay. Regarding Cytoflex Nano, we know that you can use for the measurement of very small particles, as small as 40 nanometers. But between the different size, if you use the silica bits, is 10 nanometers. Between the different size, you have a different size of 10 nanometers. You can have a good resolution between these two types of size. It's have a very high sensitivity. And this estimation it has estimated with silica bits. The difference is 10 nanometers.
Thank you, Professor Radu. Do you have any final comments for our audience?
Some important comments is that first of all, these instruments need to be very well cleaning. Then all the solution that you use when you use this type of instruments is necessary to be filtered, the buffer or other solution. Then I give some suggestion how to use to calibrate for the correct calibration. You have suggestion about to use markers for the like the Aquarella or other job die for Italy, to use for the to understand the double membrane of your the layer of your the bilayer lift of your EVIS. You can use some markers specific for the internal analysis of your extracellular vesicles, like the calcium or other types of markers. If you use all these types and the correct instruments, like all the instruments of the Cytoflex platform, I think so that it's enough to have a good detection of EVIS. And the important in the other to take in mind is that you have to use the correct bits, like the NanoVis, for the really measurement, the most accurately in measurement of the size of your EVIS. No more than 3 markers, because you have the problems of the steric hindrance of your bits, of your EVIS. That means no more than 3 antibodies for the detection of your EVs. And then I think so that this instrument could give the possibility between the different laboratories to have reproducibly standardized methods and instruments to analyze the different EVs to understand the biological function of these EVs.
Thank you once again, Professor Radu, for sharing your time today and for your valuable research. We would also like to acknowledge LabRoots and our sponsor, Beckman Coulter Life Sciences, for supporting and underwriting today's educational webcast. Before we go, I'd like to thank the audience for joining us today and for their interesting questions. Questions we did not have time for today and those submitted during the on-demand period will be addressed by the speaker via the contact information you provided at the time of registration. This webcast can be viewed on demand. LabRoots will alert you via email when it's available for replay. We encourage you to share that email with your colleagues who have missed today's event. Until next time, goodbye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Thank you to other audience.